So this is awesome. We wanted to go over the V-hull versus Catamaran decision-making checklist. It's the fish head edition, and we didn't really want it for like the elites from California or anything. This is just for Florida fish heads, you know? And so do you have at least 5 or 6 fillet knives? This is your checklist. So where and how you boat. These are the questions. I regularly boat in tight marinas and narrow slips. So what would you choose, the V-hull or the Catamaran? I'll tell you what, I would go definitely with a V-hull for that, because I think it's more maneuverable. You have a bow thruster. Catamarans don't have bow thrusters, and they're big square things. So I'm going with a V-hull on that one. How about this question? I often operate in open offshore and rough water conditions. I'm going with the Catamaran on that one, because those things are made to run through rough water. But also a V-hull's not bad. You're not going to go wrong either way, but I'm going to give it the edge to the Catamaran on that one. The next question is, I spend long days drifting, anchoring, or fishing at rest. Well, I think the Catamaran's a lot wider, more stable platform, also more comfortable, and also I like to be able to go for a walk on my boat, which you can, seriously, I do like to walk around and stuff, you know, and instead of sitting there fishing all day long. So I do like to go take a walk, and a Catamaran is a better boat to go walk around. And anyway, my next question is, forward visibility during acceleration is very important to me. I think the V-hull, when it starts out, it has to like go up and get up on plane, where the Catamaran just goes, it's on plane. It doesn't plane off, you know? So you got to give that to the Catamaran. So I think it's 3-to-1 in the first section. We're going to include this. We're going to include this so everybody can go over it. You fish heads, you know, you got to study up on stuff too. Don't jump right in these questions. And my first sentence is, work through each section honestly. No cheating, you fish heads. So anyway, crew, family, and comfort. I frequently boat with family or non-boaters. That's not the best idea, but anyway, V-hull or Catamaran? I think I would give that to the V-hull. I really do. I think it's a more traditional thing. You know, you can slow down and give them a good ride, even if it's rough, going in and out the inlet. You know, where the Catamaran, I think, might be hopping along a little too aggressive. So I'm going to go with a V-hull on that one. The next question is, stability at rest matters more than top-end speed. Wow. Stability at rest. I got to give both to the Catamaran, to be honest with you. They're so much more stable, and they're so much faster. So why was that question even in there? That was a trick question. People move around the boat while underway or fishing. Well, the Catamaran's big, wide, high decks, high sides, and the V-hull is kind of more narrow, and forget it, Catamaran all the way, you know. Anyway, how'd that question get in here? Reduced fatigue over a long day is a priority. Let me see, getting smashed around or a smooth ride in big comfortable seats. Three across, I might add, made out of fine Corinthian leather. In a factory somewhere located in Fort Pierce. I think we're going to go Catamaran. Now, Catamaran crushed that whole category, the crew, family, and comfort category. All right, the next one's performance priorities. This is our next one. I care about maximum top-end speed. I'll tell you what, you strap enough horses on, you're going top end. And I would take 1,600 horses over 900 every day. And so my particular Catamaran has 1,600 horses, but I have seen V-hulls with 3,000 horses. Seriously, that's HCBs. I got to say, top end speed, I might get that to the V-hull because it's wider. I'm going to tell you why. You got to give it to the V-hull. It's wider, and you can put engines all the way across, which I just saw the other day. The HCB, I think it had, honestly, it had 6 Mercury 400s on it. So 6, 4, bing, bing, 2400. Where the Catamaran has doesn't have a transom in the middle, so you can only put two engines and 2 engines. I've never seen them with more than 4 engines. So I got to give that to the V-hull all day. That's a winner. Next question is, I care about average speed in real conditions. V-hull or Catamaran? Average speed in real conditions. It's tough to make a case for that one for the V-hull. I think, the Catamaran's going to get you there with your 4 engines. The next question is, I want minimal bow rise during a hole shot. Well, the Catamaran doesn't have any bow rise. And the V-hull rides up until you get over that hump. Got to give that one to the Catamaran. So the last question in this section is, I prefer a level running attitude at cruise. Who wrote this? The president of Catamarans of America or something? I prefer a level running attitude at cruise. That's almost a toss-up. I'm going to give that to the V-hull as a gift. And that brings us to ownership and practicality, section 4. So lower upfront purchase price is critical. I got to go V-hull on that all the way. V-hull's crushing because Catamarans don't even start at the low end. The next question is, ease of resale and broad buyer market matter. Whew, boy, that's a toughie. Ease of resale. I mean, there's hardly any resale boats out there. They're not changing hands, which what's that tell you? I know of one Catamaran that was sold, and the guy sold it in a week. And V-hulls sell all the time, and they're selling too. That's a toss-up. I'm actually going to go V-hull for ease of resale. I really am. That was a tough one. Dockage and storage costs are a concern. Geez, I got to tell you, when I put a deposit on a Catamaran, I started looking around for marinas. I was told by 3 or 4 marinas, we don't let Catamarans in here, seriously. In Stewart and in Palm Beach. We don't allow Catamarans on the property. So, so it cuts out maybe, seriously, 30-40% of the marinas won't even let you on the property. They just don't want to deal with it. They're set up for V-hulls. The racks are set up for V-hulls. So I got to give the V-hull the win on that one. But in my case, I found somebody willing to take us in. Poor guy with a 40-foot Catamaran. But anyway, that's a good question actually. We're going V-hull all the way on that one. Next question is, I plan to keep the boat at least 4 or 5 years. Which is better for value, V-hull or Catamaran? There's not a whole lot of information on this. This is a good question. It's really a good question. I think you should just keep the boat personally. After 5 years, don't sell it. Your wife says you got to get rid of that boat. I don't know. We'll just let that. We better stop on that. Change the subject. But I guess there's more of a market, especially for the lower end of the market in the V-hull. Kind of buyers that aren't aware. I think you got to be a sophisticated buyer to buy, and an educated buyer to buy a Catamaran. It's not a starter boat, especially because they all got 4 engines. So I think we're going to give that to the V-hull. If you plan on keeping it for 4 or 5 years, maybe give that nod. So our next is fuel range and efficiency. Our first question in this section is, fuel efficiency at cruise matters to me. Who said that, ever? But anyway, fuel efficiency at cruise. I gotta go V-hole on that. I really do. I think, you know, you're gonna hammer down on a catamaran and get where you're going, nice smooth ride. And you know, V-hole, you could throttle back and, you know, smell the flowers, whatever. And so we're going to V-hole on that. We're going to give it. The next question is, I often run loaded with people and gear. I think I'd go V-hole on that one too, because the catamaran, I don't really know if they're big load carriers. Really, you know, I need one of those Ouija balls, you know, that ask me later. Isn't that called a Ouija ball? Something like that. 8-ball, magic 8-ball. We need one. Make a note. We can't run this channel without a magic 8-ball.
Get one for the table.
Yeah. And then we need an easy button. You know? Okay?
Easy.
Consistent trim with minimal adjustment is important. Wow. I don't know the answer to this one. I would say consistent trim with minimal adjustment. I'd actually give that to the V-hole. I think the trimming, I think actually to get a catamaran up, you got to trim them, and then when you get them going, then you trim that motors up until they're just ventilating. I've seen videos on that, but we might have to, that's a magic 8-ball question, really. These are hard. I didn't know they were going to be this hard, or else I wouldn't have published them. Here's the last question. Range anxiety and how I plan trips. Well, how I plan trips and range anxiety, I don't get into it. I always have a full tank. I don't leave the dock, you know, or I don't leave South Florida without every square inch of that boat is covered in gas or diesel fuel. You know, you gotta be a real dummy to run low on fuel. But I have made real long runs where we're just coming into Palm Beach and we're on fumes. And I've actually had to take my 57 Ocean off of, you know, 57 runs like this. I had to take it off a plane and run flat so that the fuel would reach the pickups. And man, it's no fun. It's no fun. So I like these, in fact, Sea Hunter, I got to give them the nod for being a geniuses to put a 1,000-gallon fuel tank in a 40-footer. So the more fuel, the better. And I don't plan on having any anxiety. I think you get your boat fueled up, you plan on making a lot of fuel stops. And you know, one good thing about the Bahamas, they have that nice yellow fuel. You don't have all that unleaded stuff and everything. They got nice original fuel like it was meant to be, like when we were kids, you know. My motto is buy plenty of fuel and make friends. Like where I go mostly to Old Bahama Bay, I'm friends with all the fuel guys. They look forward, you know, I bring them little gifts, you know, bring them a ham or something when you come over. And man, the fuel guys like to see you. And I like seeing them because they got a hose with the fuel in it. So anyway, we're gonna put these questions down below. You guys can ponder them. You fish heads, study up on this stuff. No cheating. Let us know what you come up with down in the comments. And then this is all we got for today, folks. Thank you very much.